Anfield, May 25th, 2025. It was meant to be a day of pure celebration for Liverpool. The Premier League trophy was polished and ready. Jurgen Klopp's successors under Arne Slot had already secured the title weeks before. A fantastic achievement. The fans packed into the famous old ground expecting a procession, a final flourish to a dominant season. They were there to see their heroes put on a show, then lift that famous silverware. But football, as it so often does, had other ideas. It loves a surprise, and this final day of the season was about to deliver a big one. You just never know in this game. Crystal Palace, mind you, didn't travel to Merseyside just to applaud the champions. Oliver Glasner has turned them into a proper side, a tough nut to crack. They arrived with their chests puffed out, and rightly so. They were FA Cup winners, their first major trophy, still buzzing from that success. Glasner has instilled a real belief, a strong mentality in that squad. They weren't intimidated by Anfield, they had their own ambitions to finish their own strong season on a real high. They were clearly up for the fight, ready to spoil the party if they could. The final whistle echoed around a stunned Anfield, and the scoreboard told a story few had predicted. Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1. It was a genuine shock. The champions, beaten on their own patch on the very day they were due to lift the trophy. You could hear a pin drop apart from the delirium in the away end. Palace had played it smart. They defended with their lives, they were organised, and they took their chance brilliantly. It was a massive result for them, a real feather in their cap. This wasn't in the script for Liverpool's big day. For Liverpool, this defeat was a little blot on an otherwise brilliant copybook. This season, they'd wrapped up the league with 84 points, a fantastic campaign showing their quality and consistency. This was only their fourth loss all season, so while the result itself would have stung Arne Slot and his players, the main event was still to come, lifting that Premier League trophy. But make no mistake, losing to Palace, especially at home, would give the manager something to think about as he plans for next year. The game exploded into life much earlier than Liverpool would have liked, catching them completely off guard. It was only the 8th minute when Crystal Palace's Ismaïla Sarr found a way through. A quick, sharp Palace move cut open the Liverpool backline, and Sarr, with his blistering pace, made no mistake with the finish. Anfield, which had been buzzing with anticipation, fell into a sudden, uneasy quiet. That early goal from the visitors really threw a spanner in the works. It meant the champions had to chase the game right from the start, not how they planned it. Liverpool, to their credit, tried to respond like the champions they are. They started to dominate the ball, pushing Palace deeper and deeper into their own half. Mohamed Salah, always looking for a goal, had a couple of sighters. Cody Gakpo wasn't far away with a decent header. The Reds were camped in Palace territory for long spells, trying to find a way through that stubborn defence. But Palace were holding firm, organised and resilient at the back. You could sense the frustration building among the home players and the fans in the stands. Then things went from bad to worse for Liverpool. In the 67th minute, their task became a monumental one. Ryan Gravenberch was shown a straight red card. It was a poor challenge, a high boot on Daichi Kamada, and the referee had no hesitation. Down to 10 men, Liverpool's hopes of turning the game around took a massive hit. That moment of recklessness really cost them. Arne Slot, on the touchline, looked worried, and rightly so. It was a long way back from there with a man down. The drama didn't stop there, though. With just 6 minutes of normal time left, Mohamed Salah wheeled away in celebration. He put the ball in the net and Anfield went wild, thinking they'd salvaged a draw. But their celebrations were cut short. VAR had a look and the goal was disallowed. A bitter pill to swallow for Liverpool. Earlier in the second half, Palace themselves had a Jean-Philippe Mateta goal chalked off for offside. To make matters worse for Liverpool, Diogo Jota had seen his effort come back off the post in the 75th minute. It just wasn't their day. Liverpool, even when they went down to 10 men, never stopped trying to find a way back into the game. They threw everything they had at Crystal Palace. The stats show they had a massive 69% of the possession. They had 14 shots at goal, which tells you they were creating openings. But, and it's a big but, only 3 of those shots were actually on target. That's not good enough. Salah, Gakpo and Diogo Jota, who even hit the post, all had their chances. They just couldn't find that clinical finish when it mattered most. A frustrating afternoon in front of goal for the Reds. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, put on a proper away performance. It was a masterclass in how to defend a lead and be clinical when your chance comes. They only had 31% of the ball, but they knew exactly what to do with it and without it. Their defending was top draw. Dean Henderson in goal was outstanding, pulling off some really important saves. The defenders in front of him, you can bet Joachim Andersen and Mark Guehi were at the heart of it, were like a brick wall. They soaked up so much pressure, especially in that second half. Real heart and desire. The battle in midfield was crucial. Palace were disciplined. They worked their socks off. Players like Will Hughes and Chaik Doucoure, or perhaps Jefferson Lerma, really put a shift in, breaking up Liverpool's play. When Gravenberch got himself sent off, it obviously changed things for Liverpool in the middle of the park. Palace were smart. They used their extra man well when they could, just to take the sting out of the game and give their defenders a breather. Glasner's tactical plan worked down to a T, you have to say. If you just looked at some of the stats, you'd think Liverpool dominated. They had 11 corners to Palace's none. That shows you where most of the game was played. They completed over twice as many passes, 548 to Palace's 208, but the stat that really matters is shots on target. Liverpool had 3, Crystal Palace had 5. Palace were much more efficient. They didn't create as many chances, only 8 shots in total, but when they got a sniff, they made Alisson work. That early Sarr goal proved to be enough. After the final whistle, you could see how much that win meant to Crystal Palace. Their manager, Oliver Glasner, was absolutely made up, and rightly so. He was full of praise for his players. He talked about their incredible performance, their resilience, and the strong mentality they showed. To go to Anfield against the champions and get a win like that takes some doing. He mentioned the character of his squad. It's another big result for them, on top of winning the FA Cup. Glasner is building something really good there. For Liverpool's manager, Arne Slot, it was a different story. He was clearly disappointed with the result, as you'd expect. He wasn't happy about the red card for Ryan Gravenberch, which obviously changed the game. But he also spoke about the elite mentality that's needed at this level, even when things go against you. While he admitted the defeat hurt, he was also proud of what his team had achieved over the whole season, winning the title. He'll want them to learn from this last day blip. Of course, despite the result on the day, there was still a big celebration to come for Liverpool. The Premier League trophy presentation went ahead as planned. The captain, Virgil van Dijk, lifted that famous trophy and Anfield erupted. Red smoke filled the air, the fans were singing. It was a brilliant sight. For players like Mo Salah, it was special to celebrate properly with the fans, especially after their last title win was in an empty stadium because of the pandemic. The loss was a downer, but the overall season was a massive success. And what about Crystal Palace? This victory was the perfect way for them to cap off a really memorable season. They finished 12th in the league table with 53 points, a solid outcome. But it's the big moments people will remember: winning the FA Cup, their first major silverware, and now this, beating the champions at Anfield. It just shows what they're capable of under Oliver Glasner. They're a team that can cause anyone problems on their day. This result sends out a message for next season.